The Xbox 360 was released on November 22nd, 2005 in the United States and Canada, and it was the first console that I ever owned. In 2008, my dad got the 360 for the sake of playing racing games, but our Xbox came with a game bundled in, or rather, multiple games. The Xbox Live Arcade Compilation disc. This disc gave you a selection of a few games and demos to play, and was usually bundled with consoles. Since this was the only game that we had outside of 3 copies of PGR Racing for some reason, and I was terrible at racing games, this was the only game I'd play. In total, this disc came with 7 games, including 5 full games and 2 demos. That's pretty damn good for a game that comes free. Despite the fact that this disc was the only thing I had to play, I did not experience the majority of what it had to offer. So naturally, I've decided to go play through all of what this disc has to see what I missed out on, and to see what was so great about the games that I did play. Opening up the disc brings you to this screen, which is already pretty cool. It might look super basic, but this is actually what the original Xbox 360 dashboard looked like at launch. Since this collection never received an update on its menu, it still has a default look, designed to match the original dashboard. The first option selected is the Xbox 360 welcome video. This works as a great introduction to the console, while also being incredibly goofy. At this time, Microsoft was still going for the whole super futuristic aesthetic, which was primarily seen in the original Xbox, and it shows in this video. This video also shows how to navigate the 360's dashboard, but when I got my console in 2008, the dashboard had already been updated. This made this video pretty useless to me, but that didn't stop me from enjoying it. It's very well made and has a lot of humor, which is nice for an informative video, which are usually pretty boring. Below the video is 5 full games we can play, with the first being Boom Boom Rocket. This is a very simple rhythm game, similar to other games such as Guitar Hero or Dance Dance Revolution. The goal is to trigger the explosion of these fireworks in time with background music, or rather, when the rockets meet this target line. To trigger the green rockets, you press A. To trigger the red rockets, B, and so on. It's a nice game to play for a bit to test out the Xbox, but it's probably not something I'd ever come back to. What makes other rhythm games better is the fact that they usually have really good music. The music here isn't bad by any means, but it's all classical music. If that's your favorite genre of music, then this game might just be for you. The next game is Feeding Frenzy. Now this is the game that I played a lot as a kid. I think the main reason is that it had bright colors, a simple objective, and fish. You start off as a very small fish, and the goal is to grow as big as possible. You do this by eating any fish that are smaller than you. As you get bigger, you can eat bigger fish. It's basically a more visually stimulating version of Agario. What I love about this game is the audio. It's honestly very satisfying to listen to all the sound effects, and that's probably part of what drew me into the game when I was young. Of all the games given to you in this collection, this one feels the most like an actual complete game, rather than just an arcade game. It has some actual progression in multiple levels. The next game available is Luxor 2. Luxor, I don't know. The most simple way to describe Luxor 2 is a mix of Bloons Tower Defense and Candy Crush. Your goal is to defend your pyramid from these spheres. Magical spheres? Evil spheres? I have no idea. You can destroy the spheres by creating a chain of 3 or more of the same color, much like in Candy Crush. You shoot colored spheres into the line to create a line of 3 or more, and those spheres get destroyed. What stands out about this game is the aesthetic. It takes place in ancient Egypt, and you're defending a pyramid. As for why it's spheres attacking your pyramid, I don't know. That sort of sticks out from the whole Egypt thing they got going on. Regardless, it's a very fun and unique game. Following Luxor 2 is Pac-Man Championship Edition. It's Pac-Man. I don't think I have to explain how to play Pac-Man, because who hasn't played Pac-Man? The main difference with this version is that you're on a time limit, and the goal is to get as high a score as possible given the time restraints. You also move pretty quickly, and the music is upbeat, making the game a lot more fast-paced and stressful than Pac-Man usually is. I was always too scared to play this as a kid. Not that I was scared of the ghost or anything in specific, it just stressed me out like crazy. Even today, Pac-Man gives me anxiety, and I think it's this game's fault. Also, fun fact, this was the first video game I ever played. The 5th and final game is Uno. Same story as Pac-Man here, it's Uno. Who hasn't played Uno?
Everyone has Uno, dipshit. It came free with your fucking Xbox.
Now, I didn't play this version growing up, but I've played plenty of the physical card game, and more recently I've played the online version on PS4. I find that the games end either within 5 minutes or 5 hours. Either way, just bring a snack in case you ever plan on playing this with friends. And that's it for the main games included, but as I mentioned, this disc also includes 2 demos of games. The first of those demo games is Surf's Up. I always thought this choice was a bit out of place for this compilation, with it being the only game based on a movie. I also didn't realize this was a demo as a kid. I thought it was a full game, and that could only be accessed through this disc. Because of that, and the fact that by playing the demo, you kinda play the entire game, it kinda defeats the purpose of buying the game. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a disc version of this game out in public. Even nowadays, if you go to a vintage game store, you'll see a lot of licensed games, usually from DreamWorks or Pixar, but I've never seen this. The game is decently fun, don't get me wrong. It's a surfing game. You do tricks to get points, and there's a point objective to reach. You have this little power bar in the bottom left that gives you a boost of speed if you use it, and you can refill it by doing tricks. Also, the music in this game is copyrighted, so I will not be playing audio from this game. The second demo and final game included in this bundle is Viva Piñata. This game is cute. It's like Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley, but themed around piñatas for some reason. The graphics are very appealing and stylized, although the game does use a lot of Comic Sans. Is it still funny to make fun of Comic Sans? Am I like outdated on that? Remember when I said that Surf's Hub was out of place for this compilation like 20 seconds ago? This game is even more out of place. Surf's Up, despite being based on a movie, is still very quick, fast-paced, and arcade-like. This game is incredibly slow. Not that it's a bad thing, that's just the kind of game that it is. It just really stands out compared to the other more simple, fast-paced games on this disc. Okay, I guess Uno isn't fast-paced, but it is simple. You get my point. And that's all the games in this compilation. This was absolutely one of the best bundle games I've ever played, and you might be surprised to find out that this was not a launch game. This compilation released 2 years after the release of the 360 in 2007. Also, just while recording this, I'm noticing something. The compilation disc released in 2007, but the dashboard on Xbox 360 got changed in 2008, meaning this video became pretty useless within a year of its release. I just thought that was worth pointing out. Video's done. I can't think of a conclusion for this, so see ya.